What's going on YouTube? Dr. Ironbat Prime 2.0 back at again with this new video. As you hit this new video, this is basically my top 10 comic book stories. Now I figured I'd do this video because, well, I've been reading a lot of comics recently, and I figured just for fun, I'd love to just list out some of my favorite comic book stories and just tell you guys some of my favorites and ones that I would highly recommend reading yourself. So if you're in any way of a diehard comic book fan, or if you want to read some new comics, here are my top 10s that I would highly recommend reading yourself and definitely want to check them out. Taking the 10th spot on the list is X-Men Dark Phoenix. I'll admit, not the biggest X-Men fan, but I had to throw this comic on the list for several reasons. I mean, this is the comic where we discover a lot more of Jean Grey's powers, there's a whole lot of battles here and there, and there's a whole lot of Phoenix Force to explore in this comic book. Yeah, in my opinion, it's just that good, it's just that entertaining, it's definitely like the most popular X-Men comic, and yeah, I, again, had to throw it on the list. Also, it was adapted into the X-Men animated series, kinda sorta in X-Men Last Stand, but even got its own movie several years later. And I'll admit the movie was a little okay, but at least they tried. Now hitting number 9 on the list is Planet Hulk. This is a must-read for any fan of the Hulk because, I mean, he basically goes to the planet Sakaar and, well, let's just say a lot of stuff happens here and there with the Hulk. I mean, the Hulk goes to the planet Sakaar, becomes a gladiator, a king, a husband, and a father, and he just starts to rule Sakaar, fight a whole lot of enemies before returning to Earth for, well, 5 years straight. Yeah, all that really does happen in the comics, so again, any way of a diehard fan of the Hulk has to read this comic. I mean, there was also some other things about it that was so popular. Plus, it became so popular, it got its own second comic, World War Hulk, along with an animated movie, and was kind of sort of adapted into, well, Thor Ragnarok. So yeah, that's basically what I could say about the Planet Hulks. So definitely want to read it if you are in any way of a diehard fan of the Hulk. Hitting the 8th spot on the list is Daredevil, the Man Without Fear. Daredevil is one of my favorite superheroes, and I'll admit I want to throw this comic on the list for, well, couple reasons here and there. This is the comic that explores a lot more of Matt Murdock's history as Daredevil, and it also dives down on how deep and dark Daredevil can really be. We get to see him in his prototype / pre-Daredevil costume before, well, we all know him as the Daredevil now we know today. Yeah, so if you want to learn a little more about Daredevil's origin, or like his prototype stage, or just learn about what Matt Murdock did to, well, become a lawyer and to become a crime-fighting vigilante superhero, yeah, this comic is basically worth the read for any diehard fan of Daredevil because, again, he's one of my favorite superheroes and I want to throw, well, this comic on the list, so yeah, there's that. So yeah, diehard Daredevil fans will want to read this comic. Sliding in at number 7 is Flash Rebirth. Now this is actually a Flash comic that's been around since the 2000s, and it's pretty popular for many reasons. I mean, this is the comic where we get to learn a lot more about the Speed Force, how fast the Flash truly is. We get to explore a lot more other characters here and there, including some Flash villains here and there. And not to mention the artwork and is just amazing in this comic. We get to explore a lot of other speedsters, there's a lot to explore when it comes to Barry Allen Flash. And it also adds a tad bit more to Flash's origin that we all know today. So yeah, there's a lot to learn when it comes to speedsters and the Flash and just learning about the Speed Force. And that's what this comic does. Hitting the 6th spot list is Batman the Killing Joke. Possibly one of the craziest Batman comics to ever come out. And there's a really good reason on why I had to throw this comic on the list. This is basically the comic where we finally get to learn the true origin of the Joker. He paralyzes Batgirl, aka Barbara Gordon, and Batman is just pushed to limits in so many ways. I mean, there's just a lot to learn from the Joker on what his origin just might be, and Batman is just pushed to the limits, and this is like one of the craziest Batman comics ever, and yeah, there's a lot to go through with this comic. Halfway at number 5 is the Marvel Civil War comic. This is the comic that had, well, basically superheroes fighting superheroes in many reasons, ways, and it was basically like one of the coolest Marvel comics come out in the 2000s. It's basically superheroes fighting superheroes here and there. I mean, with Team Captain America and Team Iron Man, and it's just a full-on brawl here and there with several heroes and lots of tragedy happening here and there. Yeah, it's that popular. I mean, again, like, it also does have a couple spin-off series here and there, but it's like one of the craziest comics when it comes to like armies of superheroes fighting each other and just some just intense stuff and just crazy stuff happening here and there. Also, it was popular enough to get a Civil War II comic, and kind of sort of was adapted into Captain America Civil War. And I would highly recommend checking those out if you have not already. Taking the top 4 is the Watchmen. I've talked about it on my channel several times, but I'm a pretty big Watchmen fan, and this comic just made the list for several reasons here and there. It's basically the comic book where superheroes are living in a world where superheroes exist. I really love and enjoy all the characters and anti-heroes, and it's just an overall insane comic. Yeah, it's just that popular in my opinion. I mean, I love all the characters, I love the artwork, and it's just an overall, like, a great story to love and enjoy. I mean, it's just a great comic. It's fun, it's enjoyable, and I really like it. I really enjoy it in so many ways. I mean, there's a lot to love and enjoy about it because, again, I'm a Watchmen fan, and I had to throw this comic in my top 5. Plus, it got several spin-off series and a live-action movie. Yeah, it's just that popular, and I just hope that we get more popular Watchmen stuff later in the future. Hanging number 3 on the list is the Flashpoint Paradox. This is basically the Flash comic that, in a way, kind of sort of changed everything, but in a good way, and let's just say there was a lot that has happened in this comic. I mean, this is the comic where the Flash runs so fast that he time travels and everything, and we get to see some changes happen to our heroes here and there. And it's just an overall insane and good comic to love and enjoy, and if you're in any way of a Flash fan, you really need to read it. And yes, it does have some spin-off comics here and there, and I would highly recommend checking those out yourself. But if you're in any way of a Flash fan, you gotta read this comic because it's enjoyable, it's good, and it can be intense, it can be crazy. There's a lot to learn with this comic. Also, it's responsible for creating New 52 comics, giving us an animated movie, kind of sort of happened in Flash Season 3, and kind of sort of might happen in Ezra Miller's own Flash movie. Yeah, it's just that popular, so if you're in any way of a Flash fan, you need to read the comic. Sitting second on the list is the Spider-Verse comic. Of course, I had to throw this comic on the list because I'm a diehard Spider-Man fan, and Spider-Man's my favorite Marvel hero. So, yeah, there are a couple reasons why, yeah, this comic made the list. I mean, this is a must-read for any diehard Spider-Man fan. It's where we get to explore a lot more versions of Spider-Man, and they all team up to fight Morlun, and it's just an overall great comic to love and enjoy if you're in any way of a diehard Spider-Man fan. For that alone, I had to throw it on the list, and if you're in any way of a diehard Spider-Man fan, you gotta read it, because we get to explore a lot of other Spider-Mans here and there, and there's several, like, side stories here and there to love and enjoy. I mean, it's also responsible for giving us, like, several other Spidey stories, and just giving us, like one of the coolest Spider-Man comics ever. And, yeah, it's just that popular that, well, even these things happened. Plus, it got several spin-off series here and there. It got its own sequel series, The Spider-Geddon, and was loosely adapted into, well, an animated movie. Spider-Man fans, enjoy all of that. And taking top spot number 1 is Batman: The Dark Knight Returns. Now, I've talked about this comic several times on the channel, but it's just my favorite for many reasons here and there. Frank Miller just gives us an all-around great and insane and brutal Batman. I just love the action and this version of Batman, and there's just a lot to love and enjoy when it comes to, well, Frank Miller writing a Batman story. I mean, it was dark, it's brutal. We're exploring, like, a very elderly Bruce Wayne who, well, comes out of retirement as Batman, and he's just ready to get back into action, fight bad guys here and there, including Superman. But yeah, I mean, it's just an overall great comic and one that I love and enjoy, and it's just my favorite, and it has been my favorite for a while now. Also, it was so popular it got its own animated movie, and it's what Ben Affleck Batman is loosely based off of. Yeah, it's just that popular. So that's basically my top 10s. I do have some honorable mentions though, so here are some honorable mentions that I'd like to add in. As for honorable mentions, those go to X-Men Days of Future Past, Death of Superman, Batman Death in the Family, Spider-Man Kraven's Last Hunt, All-Star Superman, Green Lantern Rebirth, and Batman Year One. And that about wraps up my list. I really hope you liked this video, hope you all enjoyed my list. There's several other comics I love and enjoy here and there, and believe me, I would talk about them all, but I would be here for like all day. But thank you all again so much for watching. Hope you all loved the video, hope you all liked my list and all that. And again, check out these comics if you have not checked them out already. Highly recommend reading them and checking them out and reading and just learn about them yourself. You'll love them, you'll enjoy them, and you won't regret it. But just to wrap it up, don't forget to subscribe to the video by hitting subscribe right down there, along with hitting the bell down there, so that way you guys are all notified whenever my next video is uploaded. But also don't forget to, hit the thumbs up so I know you like this video or even love it. And don't forget to, hit the comments. I'm always reading the comments. And don't forget to also follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook, CosplayMino, TikTok. All my social media names are just right here, so follow me. I just might follow you guys back. But until my next video, this is Dr. Iron Bat Prime 2.0 signing out, and I'll see you all in my next video.